What's going on? My name is NOXBEATZ. I am the producer for Token. I've been doing a lot of his stuff over the years. I produced Between Somewhere. I produced, I don't know, a lot. I produced pretty much anything that comes across the finish line with Token. I'm probably doing something. And this song is Rockabye Baby. Now, let's get into it. So on this record, what we have here is a very simple setup. This is how I set up all my Pro Tools sessions. My mastering chain is very simple. You can see it right there. Any engineers that know that, that's my mastering chain, okay? What comes before that is Neve Summon Mixer. I have the Passive EQ by Better Maker, and I have the NG Bus Comp. And that's what's going from my summing unit to that, back through my burl, and then back into my DAW. So we started this whole track from scratch. And the way we started it is I had Token send a video to me. And what I do is I take some random sounds and I just kind of combine it together and we make insane chaos. And let me see if I can just find that sound real quick. There it is. Okay, there's the sound. And the sound I used in this case was him laughing. I literally time shifted one of his samples from the video, I time stretched it, and then from there, I used his laugh and I chopped it up and we made this. On this part, I used my OB6 synth bass, and I kind of just gave it this like real like, just one note, monotone, kind of building that cinematic tension feel. And then from there, I bring this in. So it's a Trillion Fender bass. So I use that to kind of give it like this creamy middle range, low end mids, kind of something to fill out that bottom end to kind of really bring it home. And then from there, I build a little bit more tension. So I brought in a side chain bass that literally sounds like it's Deadmau5 from 2011. So that all builds into this section right here. I don't know why. I always picked up 808s that no one uses because I hate how everyone just uses the same 808s. I try to use stuff that is a little bit out of the mark and maybe a little bit more unique sounding. So I took that and I made this. And then I ran this on top. It has a dissonance factor because what happens is this bass, it's doing no, no, and the bass is going do, no, no. There's so much tension, but even on the drop where it's supposed to relieve the tension, there's still a little tension. That's the key to a Token track. The only relief from that tension is Token's cadence, Token's flow, Token guiding the roller coaster. That's exactly how I like to do it. It's funny because I do a lot of smiley face EQs, and a lot of like engineers say like, that's, you can't mix worth if you use a smiley face EQ. Dude, how do I create a pocket then? You know what I mean? Maybe I want to create a pocket. Maybe I want to duck that EQ out a little bit. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with slicing away a little bit of that and creating that pocket so things can kind of sit down. Essentially, you're just turning down the gain within a broad frequency spectrum that a lot of energy's in. I tried to build in the beginning of the track this essence of kind of sound like Code Red, but not really. We had a couple sounds over that distorted synth sound. So it's probably like a horn sound, saturated a ton, and then from here I did. And then from there, I did OB6 on that dotted synth, and then I did OB6 here. Just get that real cheese, kind of Oberheim kind of sound. So that part at the end, essentially what it is the same melody as before, and I just ran it through more saturation. I think I add a little bit more reverb to it too. So when the beat kicks in, it builds a little bit of that tension. So like before, it's muffled, it's a little less tense, and all of a sudden it builds up more. The EQ opens up. I put a little bit more mid-range on it. I EQ'd a little bit more top end in that section. Just kind of brightens up a little bit, and it's like, wait, this is opening up. What's really cool about this part is that I try to make the 808 the sole focus of the beat. The same thing as Code Red, where the 808's just really cracking through. It sounds as loud as possible, as distorted as possible, and I try to make it as colorful as possible. And sometimes when you do that, you really got to break apart other elements in the beat to do that. The way you make it more crazy is you add more dissonance. So what I did is I took two different OB6 takes, and I ran this. And I actually got inspired by Call the Ambulance by Busta Rhymes on that one. I don't know if you can hear that, but I hear that. So that part over the 808, so this is with it. It's so subtle, but it just adds a little extra tension. Anything to get a little bit extra tension and sneak it in there just adds that 1-2% to it that really pays off. In this case, I'm taking like church bells off the Mellotron and just running through flangers. Here's one of them right here. So in this part, I love that sound. So that was ran through all my guitar pedals over there, and I ran the Mellotron, or it might have been the Prophet through it, and I just ran like one note on a drone mode, and I just ran through all the pedals, and I came up with this really cool sound, and I did a lot of manipulation after the fact in the box too with some piano.
Ran me from the door, so I'm here all day. Back, yes I am, that steady came out too. I don't have any glam, ask anything, I'm real.
The reason why I did it in that part too is because I want to take his ad-libs where he's going, woo! I tried to put a key to it that kind of made it sound a little bit more blendable. At the end, I ran a little piano. I just did like a little reverse. Sometimes I'll do a really emotional thing that I sneak at the very end, super subtle, that essentially isn't really part of the message of the record, but it kind of gives people the iteration that there's something that is concluding here. And in this case, I did it with a string section at the end of this record. It sounds like a movie, you know what I mean? And it's one of those things that I know if I turned it up a lot, Token would have been like, dude, take that shit out. But I wanted to keep it. So I sneak it in there. And I think it adds something. Again, one of those things that, hey, maybe it doesn't. I think it does. The hats on this record are really wild. I think I did like a cymbal rod. Yeah, I think it was from the Umru kit. Shout out to Umru. Huge fan of your work. So this sound is fucking hilarious. So this sound is actually Token literally going on his phone going, I don't even know how he made this noise. It sounded like a fucking rattlesnake. He's like, I don't know how he did it, but it's fucking awesome. And we threw it in there. It just added that extra tinge to like where it hits. Little lo-fi hat I threw on this section. At the end here, I did a little perk hit. Sounds like some old school kind of perk hit I used. There's another like glitch thing. I think I took that from the YouTube rapper drums I designed a while ago. I still like to use a lot of the stuff I did in between somewhere in a lot of his work. Token would even say it himself that the snare is what he hears the most. And we try to make the snare really special. So in this case, I think what I used is again, I ran a lot of SFX. So I have my SFX group where like I'll do sweeps. Even if it's super subtle, it just adds movement. I just added, I think, like a couple sweeps on top of each other during like each hit, every 4 bars. And on top of it, I added a crackle, which is some decap shit. Shout out to decap. I have another sweep that kind of comes in right before the drop, I believe. Shout out to Cashmere. Added this little string sweep. That all comes together in one giant beautiful symphony of Rockabye Baby. I run all my vocals through a huge array of outboard gear, and that's literally how I do all my vocals, literally everything. And I run it through it. Even if I get the vocals sent in, I run it through it. Doing vocals through a pure hardware chain and then just topping it off with a little corrective EQ, it just gives that extra like, mwah, it's perfect. I got the API 550A, the BAE 1073 500 series, then I'm going to the Rupert Neve 542, then I'm hitting the Mag EQ, and then I'm running into the Purple Audio Action FET Comp, and then from there I'm running into the Tube Tech CL1B. But I find doing one thing purely hardware just creates this 3D hybrid sound that combined with the summon, with the bus compressor, the EQ, the mastering, you know, everything, it just makes this beautiful hybrid sound. And that's about it. So pretty simple rundown, just something to kind of walk through how I do it. I didn't go into the FL Studio session. I used to do the drums and start the beat. I just wanted to kind of walk you through how I do the sessions, how I like to do all the sounds, and how I like to put it all together. There's gonna be plenty more of these. We got plenty more records down the pipeline. I'm gonna be doing a lot of these, as many as I possibly can. And let me know in the comments below if you really would like to see a more in-depth version of it, where I actually go through how I mixed it, how I actually got to the prints, and how I actually, you know, surgically EQ'd each synth or the bass or whatever. Because if you guys are interested, I will literally be doing lessons, and we can, you know, we can get to that. But I think for now, I just want to get this out to the world, show people my face, show people the people behind the record, because there's a lot of talented people behind these records, and I just want to kind of showcase as much as I can, because it's time for the world to see it, man. So much love, be safe, and on to the next one.